video we are going to discuss crochet. My name is Ruth Calabro and thank you for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe. It puts my channel in your subscriptions list so that you can easily get back to me and my playlists and things like that. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, that's important. And let's get started. So today we're going to talk about crochet, and crochet is an art form. A lot of people confuse crochet with knitting. Knitting is with two needles and crochet is with a hook. I am not very good at knitting, so I probably won't have too many videos on that. But with crochet, I had an elder come to my 6th grade class, and every time she came, I had to have my classwork done. So on those days, my classwork was definitely done. And ever since I have learned how to crochet from that wonderful volunteer, I've just been crocheting ever since. All kinds of things, and blankets and baby blankets. In fact, one of the things that I did for my children for sort of a rite of passage for them is they got a baby blanket, and when they were a toddler, they got a toddler blanket. And when they hit puberty, they got a puberty blanket. And when they became adults, they got an adult blanket. And some of them got 2 or 3, you know, because they're my kids. So, yeah, so that's one way you can use crochet. I didn't teach either of my sons. They did not want to learn, so I didn't teach them, which is a shame. So this is partially why I'm doing this video, so that I could pass the knowledge on that was passed on to me. At one point I was looking for crochet supplies, and one of the salespersons said to me, "It's a dying art." And I was so sad. I was like, oh, well, let's do something about that. So I'm going to be making quite a few videos about crochet because it is a passion of mine. Today we're going to talk about weight. All yarn has a different weight, and it's all used for different purposes. So we'll be discussing that. We'll be discussing some other things that I haven't seen discussed a lot. We're going to talk about hook sizes and what they are and how they work with different yarn weight. And finally, we're going to discuss different types of yarn material. So let's get started. So we're going to talk about the different weights of a yarn. The lower the number, the thinner it is. So you can see that this one is very, very thin. And that's a 3. You can see the numbers. This is the label of the yarn. Each yarn like this is called a skein of yarn. Let me see if I can get that. So right there is the number 3. And the fine print says light. So that's a lightweight yarn, a number 3 weight. So this is a weight 4, and you can tell because it says so right on the label there. So right there you can see 4. That means it's a worsted weight. It's called worsted weight yarn, and it can also be called medium. On here it's called medium. But this is one of my favorite yarns. This is Lily's Sugar and Cream. It's a cotton yarn. We'll talk about the different ones. There's several different types of yarn. And we're focusing on the weight right now. So this is a 5. So you can see that this is thicker than the 4. See if I can pull that out for you. So this was 4 and this was 5. Okay, and then there's the 6. Now there's other ones too, I just don't happen to have them in front of me. So there's all kinds of different weights besides this. This is just an example of weights and how how they look. So this is a number 6. You can see right there. There's a 6 there. So that means it's a bulky, super bulky. 5 is bulky. 6 is super bulky. I also wanted to show you this yarn, which is also a 5, because these two 5s almost look, while they're close, they almost look like they're a different size, but they're not. They're both 5s. So let's get them all together here for you. So here we have the 3. Here we have the 4. These two are the 5s. And this orange is the 6. So as you can see, the sizes vary. So for the 5 different yarns that we discussed, we have 5 different hook sizes. So this is a 4mm hook, and on the yarn here it'll say 4mm. So we know that we're using the crochet and not the knitting needles, because the knitting needles have 2. The crochet hook has 1, and it says 4mm, and then up here it says 4mm, and down here it says the US size number, which is size G. They only have millimeters on them, and they're stamped in here. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, maybe. There you go. So it says 4mm. They don't have the US sizes on them. So it's good always to have a chart. There's plenty of them on the internet. You can just quickly search for hook sizes, and there'll be plenty of charts that'll tell you what a 4mm is in US terms, which is, if you look on this, it'll say G. So 4mm is a G size. These down here are washing instructions for this particular yarn. It happens to be an acrylic yarn. You'll see here it says 100% acrylic. So Askina Yarn's label has a lot of information, so everything you need is on the label. The worsted weight, the number 4 yarn, you can see it says 5mm right there for USH. So this is a 5mm. And you can look at it compared to the 9. You can tell a little difference. And the 8. So that's for the number 4. And for this size 5, it says an 8mm or a USL. So this is a 9, and that's for the super bulky. So 9mm. Oh, and the top says N. This one's located a little different than the others. So that's this size. So what's interesting here is this is a bulky weight. And if you look over on one side of this yarn, it explains the color of the yarn. and more details about it. And it says 9mm N, which was the one for the super bulky. But on this side of the package, it says 8mm. So which is right? Well, the pattern that you're working on will tell you which one to use. For this particular yarn, it is the 8mm that is correct. I'm not really sure if that was a misprint or what, but I'm telling you, it can be a crazy world in the crochet world. Okay, so this one is the 8mm. That was the 8mm, so this is the 8mm, which is for the bulky, and this is the super bulky. Now you might say, gosh, they look an awful lot alike, and they do. Actually, this one looks bigger than this one, but it's not. This is a 9mm, and this is an 8. You're probably asking about or wondering about the differences between the handles. This has no ergonomic padding to it. This one has an ergomatic type padding. So if you're doing a lot of crochet, I prefer these because you can hold them in your hand better, and you're not holding such a tiny handle, which can stress out your hand. So let's get them all up here from large to small. Sometimes they're so close you have to look. Okay, so we have the 9 all the way down to the 4mm. I don't know if you can see these very well, but I'm trying. So some of them are pretty close. The ones that are closer in yarn weight, obviously the hook size is going to also be close in size. So this is an example of the types of crochet hooks there are. These are a bamboo set. They go from very tiny to very big, as you can tell. The tinier ones here, they have very tiny hooks. You can hardly see the hooks. That's for that thinner yarn. And then over here you have the big hooks. They're gradually getting bigger. So those are one example of a crochet kit that has all the hooks. I bought that on Amazon. So that's a short tutorial on hooks. The next thing we're going to talk about is the different types of yarn. Besides the weight and besides the hook size that you use, they are made of different materials. So this one here, again, you have to look on, it says 100% acrylic. Okay, I think most of these are 100% acrylic that we've been sharing with you. Oh, okay, so here's a good example. This is an 80-20 blend. Well, what does that mean? That means 80% of it is acrylic and 20% is wool. So the benefit of having an 80-20 mix, this is a mix, the benefit of having an 80-20 mix is that some people find wool very scratchy. So if you have 100% wool, it can be unbearable to live with. And you can't really wash it that well. You have to hand wash 100% wool, or it's recommended to. This you can actually wash in the washer and dryer. So that's another benefit of having mixed blends. This one here, this is the worsted weight yarn that we were talking about, and it is a cotton yarn. So it depends on what you want. If you really want to like wear all cotton, or if you want to have all cotton towels or all cotton sweaters or all cotton skirts or something, you can do everything in a cotton yarn. So you have so many options. There's also silk, but the price is the thing too. So wool, if you have any really nice yarns like 100% wool, 100% silk, they're going to be pricey. Now an acrylic's not going to be as pricey, and cotton's pretty decent in terms of what you can get. And of course there's a whole range within those. So you can find really fine, refined, soft cotton and very coarse cotton. There's a variety of them within the type of yarn that it is. Again, it depends on what your project is and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to make. Thank you for joining me with this video. This is one of my very first videos, and I'm very excited to bring this content to you. I'm super passionate about crochet. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you can find my videos much easier. And if you hit the notification button, you will get a notification about any new videos I post in the future. Thanks for watching.